Hi everyone, delonewolf here, and welcome to a post commentary on the destruction of the first Keepstar citadel in EVE Online. So all of this happened in the Nalvula system, just in lowsec, and it's a pretty cool story that actually started just before downtime, where the Keepstar had been deployed. It was anchoring and it would come out of reinforce like 17 minutes before downtime. The aim was, of course, to make it very hard for the attackers that had a 15-minute window to try and do enough damage to the citadel in order to destroy it or to keep it from reinforcing or getting fully online, is what I should say. Actually around 45 minutes, I would say, before actual downtime, there were several sinos that were lit right above the Keepstar. First we had a massive Macarial fleet come in, then we had some Apostles, and after that the Titans dropped, the Capitals, the Super Capitals. Hundreds of really impressive ships. A massive fleet had assembled right above the Keepstar to be ready when the reinforced timer would end, and so they would try to destroy this Keepstar before it could fully online. Now there was a little bit of controversy happening as well, because the Alliance, I think it's Project Mayhem, that had deployed the Citadel, had also deployed hundreds and hundreds of Galente and other shuttles inside post shields, and presumably the idea was that they would smart bomb those to cause enormous tie-dye, which actually would help them keep the Keepstar alive up until the downtime of EVE Online itself. And then their hope was probably that if the downtime lasted long enough, their repair timer would be completed, and this would then give them the chance of having the Keepstar online when the server would come back online and when the attacking fleet would come back. But I'm not entirely sure how that played out. I actually think that there was a GM at first that came in, deleted some of these shuttles, probably gave them a warning not to use it, because it's considered an exploit and a bannable offense, of course, to artificially create tie-dye and lag on the servers when something important happens. After that was downtime. My first reaction was, well, they didn't destroy it, so now it's gonna come down to the wire. They probably can't do it anymore. But downtime only lasted 12-13 minutes. After a few attempts, I managed to load my character in the system itself. I automatically warped back to the grid, of course, where I left, because like 2,800 people remained up until the very last second before downtime. And by the time I got back in, 1,200 people were already back. People were warping back towards the Keepstar, and to my great surprise, only like 5 minutes had passed from the repair timer, which was what the Project Mayhem guys actually needed to have been fully covered in order to see the Keepstar online. At that time, Titans were coming back, so DPS was right back on the Keepstar. They halted that timer at like 9 minutes and 18 seconds or so plenty of time for the attackers was still remaining. And of course, with such a huge fleet on the Keepstar, there was no way for the defenders to actually come back from this, and so the Keepstar was basically doomed at that point. Now this is when tie-dye did kick in really hard. You had 2,800 people, almost 3,000 people trying to get back in on that system at the same time right after downtime. This hammered the servers extremely hard, and so from that point down everything was extremely slow. There were a couple of small sub-capital fleet skirmishes that happened here and there. We saw several Macarial fleets, couple of Tengu fleets, Hurricane fleet as well, some smaller fleets. Goons were there with interceptors. There was a lot of people and there was a little bit of fighting, but really not all that much happened, except of course you had this big ball of capitals and super capitals that was continuously hammering the Keepstar. Still, it would take like almost 2 hours to actually destroy all the structure of the Keepstar and get to the explosion. So after about 50 minutes or so, I actually bowed out. They said that the Keepstar was at like 50% from 69% in an hour or something like that. So I said, you know what, I'm just gonna leave my PC be a little bit, give that a little bit of rest. And then I came back after watching a couple of streams, so I knew, well, we were in the last 10%. I actually just came back for the explosion, trying to get that on fraps, and it worked out pretty damn well. So honestly, to give you guys a bit of a recap of the experience of that first Keepstar being blown up by almost everyone in EVE Online. On one hand, this is the sandbox at its highest point, right? You had Project Mayhem that had built pretty much the largest castle you could feasibly build in EVE Online at the moment. They deployed it, and the rest of EVE Online came to kick that sandcastle flat. So that's what happened. Really cool, massive event. First as well, of course, destruction of a Keepstar on TQ. Pretty awesome to witness also. Dozens and dozens of titans, 3,000 people in local, some skirmishes here and there, lots of streaming happening as well. Major event. But, and here is for me the big but, the tie-dye was definitely killing it, right? A tie-dye of 90%, so only 10% of normal speed is definitely something that will drain you very quickly. It is one of the reasons why I'm not in a major nullsec alliance, and this experience only reminded me of not getting tied to a major nullsec alliance, because then these fights become much more regular, and that is not something I want to commit to. If it happens to be at the right time, so I can jump in my interceptor, get some footage and make a post video like this one, sure, why the hell not? But for me, honestly, the tie-dye experience is not fun, and that is just something that everyone has to decide for themselves, of course. But it is, of course, one of the big drawbacks of the sandbox. When you try to get to the large events, everyone else has the same idea. This puts so much stress on the servers, on the clients, on everyone there, that it will always result in problems. This is, of course, a double-edged sword, right? It's not the funnest experience, but it does make for the largest events in gaming in general. It is also what is pushing CCP to just continuously improve the performance, improve the grind, improve EVE Online as a whole, to allow bigger and bigger events and fights to happen in the game. And let's be honest, 3,000 people in a single spot going after a single objective is something that no other game could handle, and so it's fully understandable that a system like tie-dye is in place just to allow that to happen, and CCP does a great job of doing it, but fun it is not. That is my opinion on that. Still very impressive to see all of this happening. Really cool to see the first Keepstar being destroyed. And basically that's what happened. There are no major fight after the destruction of the Keepstar. Everyone quickly warped out, signed out to get their expensive assets safe. So it was definitely pretty much a stomp of the nice sandcastle that was built by Project Mayhem. One thing that I quickly also want to notice, that you may notice that there was no wreck after the explosion. That is because someone immediately managed to salvage the wreck. They had like 2.7 billion in salvage that was there. We could see that from a kill mail. So that's basically what happened. The wreck never really got a chance to spawn. Someone immediately salvaged it. Anyways, that's it, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.